to Scalawags number 26, brought to you on the 16th day of Christmas. And on the 16th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 Scalawags. And that's it. And a beer and a tree.
You should get a new true love. if that's what she's giving you for Christmas.
The budget was pretty
to
small.
store.
The budget was pretty small this year.
I don't think Scalawags are returnable.
No, at least not for a full refund.
They're certainly past their best before date.
Oh my gosh.
Hey guys!
Hey, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back. It's good to be back in the new year. So far, I have been sick all year.
That's a remarkable record.
Yep. I got sick
Hopefully
just
this
after
doesn't
Christmas.
continue. Hopefully it does not continue.
It is the lurgy that will not go away. But it's almost gone now, so maybe it will go away. And I'm wearing my tasteful...
I would blame England, because that's where you were. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I can't deny it.
England is ancient Roman for a giant petri dish in the sea.
Yeah, except everybody's sick here as well.
Yeah.
Everyone has the sickness over here too. So. Right. So what's new?
Yeah, what is new? What should we be talking about? I was thinking we could, since it is the 26th day of Christmas, we should talk about
day?
It is the 16th day. Sorry, next week is the 26th day. Yeah. Anyway, since it's the 16th day of Christmas, we should talk about all of the wonderful presents from 2014 in the text. So what were the best releases that you guys either took advantage of or saw in 2014 that were awesome Christmassy? It doesn't even have to be Christmas. It could be any time throughout the whole year. But the best tech present.
Best releases. Well, let's see. I got a new iPhone, and I got a new version of Mac OS.
We're gonna have to throw down here. We're gonna have to.
You got the monster phone.
The giant. It's as big as my head.
That sounds fantastic. You must have huge.
It's wearing a hat. I've never had trouble putting this in my pocket, but I also never had trouble putting the Nexus 7 in my pocket. But this is possibly the best phone I've ever had.
Really?
Yes. And I had an iPhone before.
You had an iPhone back when they were made of cardboard and stone.
Yeah. Actually, we had
materials.
to make a call. You had to rub it together with sticks. It was quite primitive.
You didn't have to hold it right. That one.
Yeah.
You could hold it wrong, and it wouldn't make calls.
Oh.
I remember famously. Yes, you're holding it wrong.
Well, we're going back more years than 2014 here.
Well, anyway, I would say that mobile phones have been amazing this past year. Just quality, the amount of hardware on those suckers.
Well, I think we're starting to get to a point where all of the huge paradigm shift advances have happened, right? So we have super high def screens, some of them with fake colors, some of them with not fake colors. We have kind of the pentaband or septaband or whatever the heck we're up to now, and we have a lot of really good processor advancements, and dual core is really common now in phones. All of this stuff that is enabling us to really treat them as computers. And application developers have finally figured out, okay, this is what I can do with it. This is what consumers expect. The norms have been set, and so now we're starting to get here. This is the plateau of productivity where things are just being refined and things are just being really good. And I think that's just going to continue. That's a long-winded way of saying the platform has matured, and we're reaping the benefits now.
So here's the question: Will you be next year? I'm going to throw this into a prediction one, even though it's a little early. Will you be writing mobile applications in Scala for your watch?
For my watch, I will not be writing mobile applications because nothing about that interests me. But I mean, there are people today who write mobile applications in Scala. And if the image were smaller, maybe you could put it on your watch.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I'm just
Oh, go ahead.
showing my my smartwatch there. I've been trying. I'd settle for writing Scala applications for my Android phone, but it's still a flawed. It's definitely still a flawed experience right now. It involves lots of ProGuard and stripping of images and long compile times and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not going to knock anyone's socks off for a while just yet. Scala on mobile devices.
So here's an interesting question, right? So there's Android smartwatches out there, right? And they're all pretty much standalone devices, aren't they? They have their own processors. They actually run the application on the device. Whereas the Apple
Well,
Watch, at least according to the dev kit, actually just offloads everything to a paired phone.
I would
So
say it's more like Android can do that, but most of the applications actually aren't running on the watch. The phone is still pretty much a major component of the whole thing. And basically, what this thing does is it exports the primary use of it is it exports Google Now to the watch.
to your wrist.
Yeah, basically, so you don't have to pull your phone out to look at Google Now. You get, let me see, I've got, like, right here, you can see I've got 2 new Twitter interactions, and I've got my garage door just opened. I've got to talk about that in a minute. And Google is down on the day, and that's it at the moment. But
Is one
yeah,
of them a
so
Twitter conversation about how now that the Java Posse isn't around, the Scalawags have to talk about iPhone versus Android? Is
Yes.
that one of your taglines
Yeah.
there? Yeah, I think
it's part of the contract, I think.
Oh my gosh.
those
Yeah,
watches
so-
are actually kind of cool. Like the coolest thing I think in there, and it makes me sound pretty I don't know, dumb. I feel in my social circle, but the coolest thing is that all those notifications pop up on your wrist, so you can actually, like, your phone beeps and you can just, like, look real quick.
Yeah.
Such as when you're driving, you drive like this, right?
Oh, dude,
Everyone-
I drive like this.
Oh, like this?
Yeah, the wheel, phone. No, I think that is basically what the smartwatch. I think that's kind of the killer app, right? So the killer app is not having to take something out of your pocket, whether you're driving or walking or whatever. Like it is relatively inconvenient to reach down like 2 feet and pull something out and look at a screen. It's much more.
First world problems.
Yeah, very first world problems, but it is.
It's a
Yeah.
super first world problem we're solving right now. So what?
Well, I commented on Twitter actually the other day where I said, so I mean I'm I'm on a Mac, right? And I run all of my applications in full screen mode. And one of the things that Mac does when you run an application in full screen mode is it completely hides the title bar. Or it completely hides the menu bar, which is where the clock is. So I actually have no awareness of what time it is when I'm working, like literally none. And it is, I could mouse to the top of the screen, but then I have to actually use the mouse, which I don't normally do. So again, very first world problem. Just like having a watch would actually help me a lot, because then I would know, oh, okay, it's like 7 o'clock, and I should probably go home at some point.
So there are some, and these may not have been use cases that you thought of, but I've found that, as geeky as it is, the watch has integrated well, and one of them is I cycle a lot. And one of the things that I have is a little handlebar mounting for a watch. It's meant for a sports watch, but it works great for this. You strap it to the handlebar, and now you've got a little dashboard of what's going on. For directions, for example, turn-by-turn directions. The watch actually sort of pings you and puts up a little arrow, and it says turn right in 50 meters or whatever. Suddenly I've got on-bike GPS navigation and stuff like that. And another thing is the phone, when I'm cycling, often I have my phone sort of in an armband or something, and I get messages read out to me. I can actually, although I do tend to pull over still because I'm out of breath otherwise, I can just hit the watch and say, reply, I'm cycling right now, I'll get back to you in 30 minutes when I get home. And it will actually understand the voice, transcribe that message, and text the person back or whatever. So, yeah, I've found it surprisingly useful for a geeky, essentially a first world geeky toy.
That
Yeah.
so some of the voice control that has been built into things, like I mean, Google Now is fantastic, and the voice control that Google has in Android is really really good. But also like Siri and Cortana, I mean, that is in a sense it is a little bit gimmicky. But when you need it, when you do actually really need something that's hands free and you don't mind talking to yourself, it is very impressive what they're able to do.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it is
hold on.
very
Hold on. Have you seen somebody with an accent use Siri?
I have, and it's hilarious.
I have an accent.
Okay. Does your accent affect Siri?
Actually, I use. I've
Or
not
Google
tried
Now,
Siri. I use Google, and I actually turn on the UK localization, and it works beautifully for me.
Nice.
I have a very, very standard UK accent, so it
Yeah,
recognizes me really well.
That's good.
Yeah. I think where it has trouble, like where most voice recognition has trouble, is like the Alabama, Louisiana, sort of East Texas area. Like that region of accent is enormously difficult to transcribe, apparently. Just the phonemes are really weird, and part of the problem is those people tend to self-identify as having an American accent. So you can't just like give them an Alabama localization. You have to actually be able to.
I'm American.
Well, you should have American and true American as the two options.
American and formerly Confederate, but would be still Confederate now if they had their way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's
other cool things, and this ties in. I'm going to lob in a quick tangent here. Want to talk about one of the traditions we had on the Java Posse is talking about cool gifts, and one of them is I got a new car stereo, and it ties in with this because this car stereo kind of accepts the reality that smartphones are basically what people are using now. So this thing is amazing. It's a Sony. And the moment you get in the car, it pairs with Bluetooth. And when I say it pairs, these two things actually start communicating bidirectionally. So the stereo and the phone pops up a display. I can change the stereo functions using the phone. So I can tune a radio station from the phone, for example. The HD radio on there actually puts up on the phone what's playing. All this kind of stuff, and it's got the voice recognition, so I can actually hit a button on the stereo, a nice big button, and then say to it, Google search, navigate home, and the phone navigates home and starts reading me directions through the car stereo. It's like
that's fairly cool.
This it is amazing level of integration. It's very neat, yeah. So it's all tied in with the voice recognition and everything like that. So I've been very happy with it so far. And it plays Pandora too.
There you go. How do I get one of these is the question. Or what is it called? It's a Sony?
It's a Sony. Oh, let me tell you exactly which one it is. It's like 8500 or something like that. I'll look it up real quick on my Amazon to make sure I know which one it is.
It's a rememberable name is what you're saying. It's very easy
it's one of these code.
Yeah.
It's one of these code word ones.
They've run out of product names, so they just start like hashing the description of the functionality, and then you get the first 6 characters of the hash or something.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty soon everyone's going to learn to speak MD5, pretty much. Everybody. Yep. That's my prediction.
Then we're going to have collisions, so I mean, it's got to be SHA.
Okay, so my prediction for 2015 is everyone speaks SHA natively.
Some very strange recluses do RSA with their mind.
This way, Git commits. You'll be like, oh, I understand what that means. Yeah. That's based on these other SHAs. I got it.
Yeah, you can tell the parent of a SHA commit hash without looking it up, right?
No one will care about linear history ever again because you'll just know from the SHA what the other SHAs were included.
Oh my gosh, that would be pretty.
Almost
awesome.
there. Keep talking.
I used to
stall for me a little longer here, folks.
I used to have this guy who claimed that he could telnet to an SSH server and then do the protocol and the RSA just like in his head. I never actually saw him do it, so I'm not sure I believe it, but like that was what he claimed.
That's amazing. Well, if we're talking about gifts, I'll do a little tangent while Dick finds the name of this thing. My kids got Lego City Undercover, which is basically a children's version of Grand Theft Auto. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
How do you make a children's version of Grand Theft Auto? The whole game revolves around like beating people up and stealing things.
You're an undercover cop who steals things to try to catch the criminal. But the things you steal are like, I'm going to steal the T-Rex out of the museum, or I'm going to steal the space shuttle.
I can get
Okay.
behind that.
Yeah, so, but it's really, I'm actually kind of amazed with the game. It's cute. Somehow they made it not Grand Theft Auto. Like,
Is this a Traveler's Tales game?
but it feels exactly like you're playing it. No, it's like Lego. It's a Lego game. I don't know who makes it. I don't know.
Well, Traveler's Tales made like all of the Lego, like the Lego Harry Potter and the Lego Lord of the Rings and Lego Star Wars games.
So maybe all I know about it is is basically what I've seen from playing it. So it was yeah. I was
That's
really impressed
Lego
with that
games.
sucker.
These Lego games are really dialed into. I've been very impressed by the quality of those. I see my nieces and nephews playing them and stuff like that. They're really good.
I love the Lego games. The Lego Star Wars Complete Saga. I have played through that so many times with my family. My sister and I used to sit down, and we'd played through it so many times. We would sit down, and then two other siblings that we chose would blindfold us, and then call out directions, and we would play the game together. Some of the jump puzzles get a little bit tricky when one of the siblings is dyslexic, and they're like, left, no, I mean right, double jump and go right, no, okay, actually left, and then you're not really sure where you are anymore. But had it down
So
to that.
the catchy title of the radio that I got is the Sony Mex GS810BH. Imagine me not being able to remember that. I mean, it just trips off the tongue, doesn't it? But anyway, yeah, there's one more thing that's like a killer feature as well, which is this big button on the front of it, which is the thing you press and talk to. It's also an NFC thing, so to pair it, they've really sorted out the pairing. You get in, hold your phone up against it, and you're done.
That's impressive.
It's like, yeah, there's none of this messing around with Bluetooth and things.
That thing is awesome. That's amazing.
It is pretty cool.
I have a 12-volt powered computer that I got very cheaply to play around with in my car.
Oh, cool!
While you're driving,
That's a yeah.
whip out the soldering iron.
Well, I didn't get the screen for it, so I don't know how far I can go.
Have you got the Scala compiler compiling on it yet?
Oh
No,
my
well,
god!
I installed Ubuntu on it, so and then it was a matter of what to. So at first, what I did was I took it, made it into a router, so you can connect to it and all that. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure what to do. I think I don't know if you've seen these. They actually sell these little Wi-Fi hotspots that you can buy, where you prepay gigabytes, and then you can sit it in your car and have Wi-Fi and all sorts of.
Oh yeah.
And then just imagine all the fun you can have. Like you could have this little computer hooked into your stereo so that it would just redo your tweets as they come in, because that's what I need while I drive is more Twitter conversation. To prevent road
more
rage.
up to the second, yeah. To avoid the withdrawal symptoms that you have for 5 minutes away from Twitter.
Yeah.
So you guys are mocking this, but this new car stereo does.
Yeah,
It actually
I'm
does
mocking
feature
you right now,
something.
Dick. I'm mocking you.
It actually
awesome.
will do that. You can turn it on. You can have it read your email and your texts and your tweets as you're
Oh,
driving
my
along.
goodness.
I have that turned off. Really, I have it turned off.
No, that the Twitter one, I feel like nowadays you have to have a certain mindset when you go look at Twitter feed.
Yeah,
you
I
just-
don't ever actually read all of the words. It's just a very fast skim.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the patience for 140 characters, so I have to kind of distill it down to okay, I'm going to read 10 characters out of this tweet. Okay, moving on to the next one.
Well, in terms of signal to noise ratio, I would argue that Twitter the noise has increased dramatically to the point where like the more snark, like to some extent cute little 140 character phrases are awesome, and it's fun to share those, but like the
Are you about to go into like kids these days don't know how to communicate on Twitter, corruption of the internet vocabulary?
No. I think
in my day,
have the
people
patience to take the
considered their
time
Twitter
to communicate.
responses.
It's actually around this notion. I read an article about this, how political action groups essentially are their own demise, because what gets retweeted, what gets sent around as news, anything that's controversial.
Yeah.
If you want to get retweeted, you either need to say something that's like really witty, or in lieu of that, say something controversial, and then it gets retweeted like crazy.
This is actually this is a fantastic pro tip for learning things on the internet. So let's say there's this concept that you legitimately want to learn, like, or this functionality of a library that you legitimately want to understand. Okay, learn enough about it to say something completely horrifically wrong, and say that. And you'll get like 20 people who jump on you and instantaneously sort you out.
This explains Daniel's Twitter stream.
Yes! This is how I use Twitter. It's a very educational tool for me.
So I might be trolling everyone, but I'm learning a lot, okay? That's what matters.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
I have learned a ton.
Yeah, it is true that if you say something wrong about something that another person cares deeply about, they will correct you. So it is a good way to, yeah.
Well, I mean, the sad part is really the contrapositive here, which is that if you say something that is right about something, that's just sort of incrementally there, and even if you explicitly ask for help, you will get much less assistance than if you say something very wrong. Like people just don't jump on it the same way. The internet rewards bad behavior.
I was just going to say that this is not a good trend, is it?
Oh, it's not. It's terrible.
So, in terms of 2015 predictions, I predict that bug reports on GitHub will become perfected via this mechanism
of trolling.
There's
the more offensive a bug request you make, the more likely they are to fix it. Right? Doesn't that apply? Doesn't it cross over?
You're saying that bug reports are going to look like this. The title is going to be, "Dude, there's totally no way this will ever freaking compile in Scala," right? And then, like a dump of code that should compile, and that's going to be the way to get their bug fixed.
I think it's actually going to get to the point where like on your pull request, it's basically going to say like, "Your project sucks," and then underneath it says, "And you suck too." No other documentation, just a block of code. That's it.
And then a block of code, and they'll be like, I'm going to merge this right away.
I better merge this or else I'll suck. You know?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Well, I would be lying if I said that I hadn't opened pull requests that were in that direction at various points in history.
I've gotten an issue that was basically that, where somebody opened an issue that was basically, of course it's because SBT, right? SBT, love it or hate it. There's good things, there's bad things. You just have to acknowledge that. But it's a build tool, so it's polarizing. Yeah. Nobody wants to care about their build tool. And if the build tool makes you care about it, you hate it immediately. Yep. So you get these amazing issues, but one of them was basically like SBT sucks was actually the name of the issue. And
number one, SBT sucks.
And like, you know, that's I'm actually fine getting an issue like that if it has like content in it that I can address. This was just like SBT sucks, and it sucks because it's designed poorly. But the complaint with the design was not something we could address, so we just closed it. Anyway. Yeah. But you know, I'm okay taking criticism because that's how you make your product better.
Did you at least put a comment on after you closed it that said no, you suck, and just
that would be the correct thing to do, Josh. If you want to observe internet etiquette.
No, you suck.
We did not do that, but that should be my New Year's resolution: is respond to insult with insult. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I think
always escalate.
I was just going to say that is the default behaviour in the Scala space. I think, unfortunately, so. Yes, I got a bit of a grounding in that the week before Christmas when there was many people behaving extremely non-Christmas like. Shame on you people! You almost ruined my Christmas.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
the problem there is I think you nailed it in the head is escalation as opposed to resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep escalating the issue and making it worse, and like assaulting each other even more and more and more.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because like you're in the moment, you're very emotional, you have this thing that you want to say, these points that you want to establish, and you're responding from a place of emotion, not from a place of reason. And if you really were just to like sit on it for like 3 days and come back to it, you would realize how emotional you were being. But no, I mean everybody just posts right away, and so things just keep getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, it happens in every internet community.
So my
Before
prediction
you
for
lose your temper.
2015 is that we have peace and harmony within the Scala community. Nobody offers insult. People accept criticism without resorting to name calling.
I would love for that to be the case, but I'm afraid my own prediction is that's probably less likely to happen. However, we can try and lead by example.
Yeah.
That's what we should do. Is just try and lead by example.
Yeah.
I think the key there is that you need to recognize two things. One is you are not perfect, and it's okay to be wrong. Right? Everybody will be wrong at some point. I guarantee you. You will make a statement about something that is wrong. But the other thing.
Oh gosh, wouldn't it be a dull existence if you were always right? I mean, I can't imagine anything worse than that. God, I would hate myself if I was always right. I'd be that guy.
Well, the second part of it is that no matter how frustrated you are with the way someone is delivering a message, usually there's some grain of goodness in that message.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a very, very tiny one, but usually there's something they're saying that is useful to dig through all of the crap and figure out what it is. But if you take both of those attitudes, like it's okay for me to be wrong. I don't have to like escalate and be a jerk to other people. But if someone I feel like they're being a jerk to me, I should try to figure out what they're actually saying. And ignore the jerky behavior. I think we'd all be in a better place.
So Paul Chusano has been blogging about I think it's become a multi-year thing now where he basically sat down and he was like, okay, every time I interact with someone on the internet, I am going to very deliberately be as polite and as positively assuming as I possibly can be. I'm just going to be in that mode, and it's going to be a very conscious thing, and I'm going to see what happens. And so he's been documenting this as he's been going along, and it's been really, really interesting. Also, interacting with Paul is a joy, but it's really, really interesting, and it is very diffusing of things oftentimes.
Yeah,
I find it worthy of comment that that was the way I was brought up to do that, and it shouldn't really be a remarkable blogging occasion to say, "Hey, I'm going to be nice to people." I'm going to try.
Yeah,
I'm going to try being nice to people for a change. I'll let you know how it goes.
When I saw that blog post, it was amusing. I'm going to be nice to people now on the internet. That is a
the fact that it is
irony
sort of sad, but.
Yes.
If I wasn't when I grew up, I got told off. Sometimes I even got smacked.
Did they make you wear a Christmas hat? Did they make you wear a Christmas hat?
No, this is actually deep personal scarring that leads me to wear Christmas hats at this time of
I
year.
see.
I'm
actually really jealous. I'm really jealous of the fact that you have an awesome Christmas hat. I asked my wife for an ugly Christmas sweater this year, and I received a not ugly Christmas sweater. So
I also have a not ugly. I went looking for one, and all of the ugly Christmas sweaters were gone, and they only had decent Christmas sweaters left. So I had to get one of those.
There was even a store in Pittsburgh that had a box that said ugly Christmas sweaters with pretty much the most god-awful sweaters you've ever seen in it.
Cool. Did you get
So-
one though? You didn't get one.
I didn't. No, I asked for one for Christmas. Yeah,
Oh.
that was on my Christmas list or whatever. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
am jealous.
apparently
of that.
it was the fashion this year to have an ugly Christmas sweater, and once again I was unfashionable in that I had a somewhat tasteful Christmas sweater, so I can't even do that properly. But I do
Are
like the
you
little
trying to
antlers,
tune
even if
in
they're
to some
stuck
sort of radio signal there, Dick?
Yeah.
It's actually connected to his car stereo. It's pretty.
Oh my god. It's the direct cerebral interface.
This is the latest Google Now thing. Instead of Google Glass, it's Google Neuron.
Google
Reindeer.
Glass was not fashionable enough, so they went with that.
If we make everyone wear a reindeer hat, we have an automatic antenna. Guys, think about this. Yeah.
When I get a
Daniel,
new Rudolph's nose lights up.
Daniel, what was your coolest gift this year?
Oh, well, my girlfriend got me the entire Dragon Age saga, which is basically like 300 hours of game that I now have to work my way through.
Wow,
So
I've never
will she
heard
be
of
upset
this.
with you?
That's not
will
gonna
she be
happen in
upset
a
with you if you don't play it? Is that how it works? Like,
What'd you
if
say?
If you don't play the game, she'll be upset with you, or if you do play the game, she'll be upset with you. I'm trying
She
to
has
figure this
actually
out.
nagged me periodically. She's like, "Wait, have you played Dragon Age recently? Are you enjoying it?" I was like, "Well, I'm kind of like only about 20 hours into it, so that's maybe 5% of the game."
Yeah. Well, next time she like calls up and says, "Do you want to hang out?" Be like, "Well, I have to decide between you and Dragon Age," and it's kind of.
Oh my gosh.
Trust me, this works well.
But no, I actually what I really enjoyed this year was I just had a lot of time to work on a project, and that magic combination of time to work on something and the inspiration that's like driving you forward, and you know what you want to do, and like all of a sudden you have this idea that solves this problem that you've been thinking about for like 8 months. So that was a very, very, very enjoyable way to spend Christmas, and it's up on GitHub now, so you can share the passion and excitement of my Christmas Day hacking session.
Oh, cool.
Most of those hacking sessions that I've had recently have led to languages based on internet memes. So yeah, your Christmas gift to the world. What is it called again? It's called Sparse.
Sparse. Yes, originally I called it Stream Parsers, and then I realized that was kind of a dumb name. So it's basically so in the Scalawags Stream project sort of future work section, there's been a bullet point for a really long time that's like, stream parsing. This would be really cool. But basically, I tried it before and I could never quite figure out how to do it. This is me figuring out how to do it. It uses derivative parsing. So you use parser combinators to build a parser, and then what it will do is with every token that it gets, and it's generic in the token, it doesn't have to be a character or a string. It can be like, a foo, like whatever token it gets, it will derive the next step of the parser by saying, okay, well, what would happen if I took this parser and assumed that I consumed this character? Okay, and then I produced a new parser that started from that point. So that's what derivative parsing does. And so you can do that one token at a time, right? So it's completely incremental. You can pause and resume at any point. It's within the bounds of a pushdown automaton. It is, in fact, constant memory space. So you can just stream stuff in and like spit tokens out and parse and whatnot. It will only do as much backtracking as it actually has to do, and that backtracking is in memory rather than trying to go back and forth in the stream. So it's really, really, really cool. The performance is awful, and I'm sure it's probably even worse than I think it is, but no one cares because it's awesome.
Cool.
This is true of everything, right? If
Yes.
it's awesome, who cares about performance?
Exactly.
Unless performance
very-
is why it's awesome. But yeah.
Very interesting. One of the things we did training in the UK before Christmas, Scala training. We did the advanced course, and for the first time we added a third day of advanced, and parser combinators were one of those things that I've always wanted to do, and we already had too much material for 2 days, and so it would never fit, and adding the third day meant, hey, we can add some of this stuff that we've always wanted to do. So parser combinators was one of them. And in fact, I had a lot of fun doing the examples for it because I created a simple version of the kind of basic that we all learned. Well, I assume we all learned when we were first programming. So I had like, line numbers and 10 print hello world and 20 go to 10 and things like that, and turned it into a grammar for the external DSL. It was really fun actually to do that again. So
yeah,
I'm sad that we've gotten out of the practice of putting line number comments on every line.
I know.
Maybe we should do
my
that.
editor tells me what line number I'm on. I don't have to type it out. It's like kids these days.
But then, how do you do go to? I mean, can you assume that it's not going to change, so you can say go to and then the line number?
This is why you had 10, 20, 30, right? So if you have to insert some lines before that, hope you never have to insert more than 9 lines.
But then they figured that out because they got really cool with BASIC after that, and you got renumber. Do you remember when? I remember the first time I saw renumber, and I'm like,
I don't know.
All of my problems are solved. Oh, so basically,
was this tooling?
When you did that, and you. Yeah, it was like the first refactoring for BASIC. So when you ran out of spaces in between the line numbers, you could say renumber, and it would go through and it would find all the go-tos. First of all, it would renumber them and space them all out by tens again, and then it would find all the go-tos and it would refactor the position that they were pointing to so that it went to the right line still.
The fact that you even call that a refactoring kind of terrifies me. Like that
it wasn't
really terrifying.
That is a refactoring right there.
It is a refactoring. It wasn't called that at the time. It was called renumbering. I never knew. I didn't know what a refactoring was then. But
maybe this is where the term refactoring comes from. You factor your numbers again.
Basic renumbering. Let's see, who was it that did this? Basic renumbering. I think it was BBC Basic. Renum. GW Basic had it. Yep, Renum. It was called. Nice. Atari did it too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The Basic that I learned first was Chipmunk Basic, which you can in fact still install.
I've never heard of this. Chipmunk Basic.
It's like a little Mac app. It's terrible, but it gives you a REPL. Like it actually has a REPL for BASIC. So it was really cool and exciting. Cool.
Yeah, I remember looking on Enviously. I had a Spectrum, and I think it was the Oric 1 came out. And the Oric used Forth, which everybody said, it's a much better language than BASIC. And they had a REPL as well, or an interactive shell. And I was like, oh, I really want one of those. But I never did get one. Yep. Look at that, Chipmunk Basic. We need to write all these links down somewhere. I'll start making a note of them as we go.
Chipmunk Basic, add to show notes.
There's gold here. Yeah, people need this stuff. All right, let us go through it. Keep talking for a second. I'll get a new document going. There's no Seth here. We're Sethless.
I know it's sad. Yeah, well, Seth is out of town, so
yeah.
I think I'm gonna take a minor distraction here and talk about the Scalawags themselves, a meta discussion. So, for those of you who've been curious, Seth is a Scalawag, Daniel is a Scalawag still, and Heather Miller is also a Scalawag. What we've done is with 5.
Dick is a Scalawag.
And Dick and I, yes.
Yeah, we're still Scalawags.
Well, I just meant somebody asked
Scalawag, right?
somebody asked if Daniel was a Scalawag on Twitter, which is why I mentioned it.
Yeah.
Because I think, Daniel, you missed like 2 episodes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, anyway. I did. Missed 2 episodes and the paparazzi goes insane. And
I know. They start wondering if there's a scandal or...
Yeah, exactly.
So the way we're doing scheduling now, there are 5 of us, and that way we can actually record content more often. One of the biggest problems we had when it was just Daniel, Dick, and I was trying to schedule anything at all.
Yeah.
Hopefully what you'll see is maybe 2 episodes a month, maybe more. Probably just 2. We'll see. But the way we do scheduling, it's kind of somebody proposes a topic, and then a bunch of us will, join in on the topic and have the discussion. But you'll see no more than 4 of us per episode. But there are 5 Scalawags. So
yes.
hopefully that answers all questions.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
the reason not to have more than four is all five of the Scalawags are very opinionated and loud, and we found that when we put all of us in the same room together, it just like, none of us could understand what was going on, but everything we were saying was very important. So we just
Thinking about it now, we probably should have tried to have all five of us for this episode.
that actually would have been amazing.
That's my
Are
bad.
we all going to be at Scala Days?
Well, I certainly am.
I
You're
think,
going to be in the
both
right
of them.
area.
we're gonna officially rename it to Scalawags Days if all five of us are there.
Well, this is going to be my first Scala Days. I'm actually going to make this one. It's crazy. My first since
Wow.
like ever.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you hadn't been to one before, actually. Wow.
Every year something comes up, be it my sister's graduation or like a volcano or, something crazy happens
Lot
every
happens,
single
man.
year.
The volcano happened after Scala Days, by the way, because that's why I
I
got
guess I
stuck
can't blame
in
it.
Switzerland for a while. Yeah.
Closer in, though. What about any Scala Symposium? Daniel, you're going to that, right?
I am going to that. I'm not going to have very much time because I'm flying in like
Right.
the afternoon before, and then I'm going to New York the morning after. So
Mhm.
I'm not even staying for the unconference, unfortunately.
No, I'm leaving early because I'm one of those rare Scala geeks that actually enjoys watching the Super Bowl. So I have to make sure I'm home in time for beers and dips and football and stupid, goofy
Well,
advertisements.
except the only team that mattered didn't make it, so Super Bowl is no longer important to me.
Is there a team that matters?
There's always your team always matters.
Your team is the team that matters, yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's
My
the
team
problem,
didn't
right?
make it either.
So here's the problem, right? I don't actually enjoy watching football all that much, and there's really like not that much of it every year. But I grew up in Wisconsin, which basically means that like
Your
if I
football
don't
team
cheer
was
for the
bad.
Packers,
Oh.
I'm like
Oh.
publicly pilloried. It's
Yeah, I'm
It's
surprised you're
ridiculous.
not actually wearing
But-
cheese on your head right now, actually.
yeah. So I know what's going on. I at least have followed enough to realize, oh, okay, apparently the Packers are in the playoffs. But like beyond that, I don't really have much interest in knowing.
Yeah, I actually. So the only thing that I'm just really upset that Baltimore's in. That's all.
Well, you can root against them. I mean, that's as good as having a team in it. Is rooting against.
Rooting against them.
Uh,
Yeah.
Who is even
So
in
you should-
Baltimore? Is it like the Colts?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, anyway, we're actually missing the Baltimore New England game, so who knows? They might get kicked out. But I don't want to root for New England either. So that's how it is.
So yeah, well, anyway, so going back to the point before we got distracted into football, which is Josh, you're going to be at any Scala as well, right?
Yes.
And
so there will at
Seth's
least
gonna be
three of
there.
us there. Seth will be there.
Seth's naturally going to be there. Is Heather? I don't
think
know.
Heather's going to be there this year.
She was
But
there last
at
year.
least
I don't think she'll be this year, yeah.
if not, there's still four of us. We should, I don't know, like in the evening, go and have a drink or something, and stick a recorder down in the middle of the table or something like that.
Yeah,
That
we
might
could
be
do that.
fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll
Let's
bring
do
my
it.
little battery recorder with me.
Sweet.
Cool.
We
I
really
need to-
should have
that
proposed
reminds me-
like a live. We really should have proposed a live recording session as like a session for any Scala.
The problem with that is that any Scala, it's so the time, because it's a single track, and just one day, the time is so precious.
Yeah.
I think it's better to have technical. I mean, I enjoy doing this with you guys, but I don't think anybody's taken away any permanent, any real permanent advancement of their career from this stuff. So.
Basic. Chipmunk basic.
Well, that's true. We did cover that at least.
Very important things from us, like that.
Unofficially, we could get together in a bar afterwards, and anyone who wants to join us, we could do something. That might be fun.
Yeah, let's do that. The Scalawags drink up.
Yeah. Scalawags drink up. I like it.
We sponsor. I will buy a beer for someone.
Possibly my beer.
I will buy my own beer, but I also buy one person a beer. I don't know how
You know
I'm
what?
going to give away that beer, but yeah.
Oh my God.
I pledged more than that. I pledged to put $20 into a kitty somewhere. We could all put $20 in,
That sounds
and once
good,
it's gone,
yeah.
people, that's it.
That's
So
it,
you know,
yeah. Okay.
yeah, enjoy that
I-
$20 while it
I can do
lasts.
that. I'll put $20 towards the Scalawags drink up. Well, if we
Yeah.
if there's 4 of us, that'd be $80 total if we get everyone to commit. So, but we won't tell you who doesn't commit. The only thing we'll say is that Daniel hasn't said anything yet.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
No pressure, Daniel. No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Right. So.
That sounds good. Okay. So we should probably wrap up, and I think let's wrap up with predictions for Scala in 2015.
Yeah.
Each
Okay.
person gets one prediction.
Mine's more of a hope than a prediction, but it's something
Okay.
that, well, and a smart man, I forget who it was who said it, but it said the best way to predict the future is to create it. Famous quote. I'm just blanking on the name of who said it, but what I would like to see happen, and I'm really going to try and push for this year. I've been sort of playing with the idea. Is it seems like there's a fair amount of gap closing to be done, but it would be nice to see Activator as a tool become something that you can actually use as a cloud-based IDE. You know, it seems like the gaps should be closable to where you can fire up an Amazon Web Service image, have Activator come up right away, actually do something in it, try it out, and then, you know, once, if that can be made to work, then it starts to open up possibilities like grid compilation on Amazon and stuff like that, so that, you know, we can get really, really fast compilation by, you know, harnessing 50 AWS images or something like that. So
Development on your watch through your
Well, that
car
also would be
stereo.
nice.
Through your
Check it
car
out.
stereo?
that
Oh my
also
gosh.
would be nice.
I like
Just
that. Yeah,
along these lines, and not making any promises or pledges, but I did have a very interesting hallway conversation at Scala Exchange that happened between a few of the principals on Scala.js and Enzyme, and the upshot was that it's not entirely beyond the realm of possibility that some kind of Scala.js Enzyme client be kind of shoved into or shoehorned into Activator to give it better editing capabilities. And I think that would be pretty interesting, coupled with the ability to run it on Amazon or something like that. So that's one of the things I'd like to see happen. Might be a couple of years before we get there. I don't know.
Yeah. Would you say that 2015 is the year of the cloud-based IDE? Kind of like the year of the Linux desktop will be 2015?
Yes, to both. Yes, to both, because I've been saying it, each one of those, well, I've been saying that on Linux for 10 years now. I actually predicted that Chromebooks would be huge about 4 years ago, and I think they've just finally started to arrive as this thing now, Chromebooks. So I'm a little way ahead of the game, but yeah.
We just got my my grandmother a Chromebook, and that was a good. I agree with you that those will become big in home computing as potential replacements.
Apparently, Boodle discovered that on a Chromebook there's Vim installed but not Emacs, and this is a statement by Google. If you can get access to the command prompt.
Yeah,
that's because people don't like Lisp that much. That's at Google.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah, I'm actually using a Chromebook right now to talk to you guys, and I have Scala installed on it, and I've led training courses using the Chromebook only. So I wouldn't want to compile the Scala compiler itself on a Chromebook. I think the thing would literally melt. But other than that, it does a pretty decent job for small Scala projects and demos and things like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Nice.
So
all right,
yes,
Daniel,
let's say it's the year of no, that's all right. Let's say it's the year of cloud-based IDEs for Scala. What the hell? We can look back at it at the end of the year and say you were totally wrong, and I'd be like, sure, whatever.
I'm gonna go to my manager and be like, hey, manager, this is what Dick just said.
Oh
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Oh, so for me, I'm going to predict Scala 2.11.5 will be released in 2015.
It was already released.
Well, it was
Good
staged.
prediction,
It's
man.
going to be released in 2015.
Oh, okay. You're cheating, man.
Oh.
The tag has already been made.
Oh,
Watch there be some critical issue and you get screwed over. Ah.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
We're just going to skip to 2.12 just because Daniel said that. No, I actually have two predictions. The first would be that I think we're going to finally move to the point where the first objection that people raise about Scala is no longer some combination of it's really complex or the compatibility is terrible. Because I think both of those issues, like the compatibility especially, and backwards compatibility and things like that, has been addressed phenomenally well. There's still issues, but we as a community and TypeSafe and the way that the release process and the tooling has built up, I think we're to a point where I'm going to call that a solved problem, at least culturally and tooling wise, and I think that's going to trickle down into more of a cultural consciousness about the language going forward. And I think on the complexity point, people have finally realized that Ruby is insane, so they're kind of backing away from Scala being the poster child for complexity. But beyond that, the second prediction I'm going to have is that I think functional programming and kind of the functional programming abstractions that have been to date more of a fringe community within Scala are going to go more into the mainstream. I'm not going to say this is the year of Scala Z on the desktop, but I think people are going to realize that some of these things are really exciting and find ways to use them productively and pragmatically.
So one thing I'll say as a prediction, I predict the name Scala Z is dead.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there, but the name Scala Z is dead.
Yeah, I don't think this means the death of the functional side of Scala, but I do think it means that given what happened in that community, I think that rebranding will happen on both sides. And if it doesn't, one of them will carry all of the fun marketing destruction of what happened. Kind of like SBT basically went from 0.7, which was relatively stable, to 0.9, which was completely unstable, and destroyed its brand name and took years to recover. And the stuff that just happened with Scala Z essentially is I would say that just kill the name at this point. Like restart from scratch. You're better off at this point, given what happened.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good prediction. I'm just that's me guessing based on how people react to things in my previous experience. So.
Well, I think. I mean, even with what happened, and even with kind of how things are still up in the air, and there's hurt feelings and scariness all around. I still stand by my prediction that someone is going to step forward and make this palatable again, and people are not going to be pushed away from it indefinitely. And I think people we're going to. It's continuing to trickle down through the Scala community and gain attention that there are these really interesting abstractions that are not really that difficult to wrap your head around, that are not really that complicated, that don't require that you type Unicode characters to use, and hey, they're really 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 useful, and you can pick and choose and use what helps you, and here's how it helps you. I still think that's going to happen this year, regardless of all.
I'm going to take that prediction further. And I'm gonna predict that something like Scala Z shows up in the standard library or as a standard module this year.
Yes,
that is a bold prediction.
That is perhaps a too knowledgeable prediction, but that is my prediction. that will actually happen.
This is called insider podcasting.
Well, let's just say that it's something that's been debated for a long time, but I think this is the year it finally happens.
That would be very exciting, especially if. I mean, it would, especially if it's done tastefully and,
Well, everything I do is not tasteful, so.
Well, what I mean is, something like that being in the standard library has to be done very carefully, such that
Yes.
it's very, very uncontroversial what a monad is. Okay, here's a monad type class. This is something that people can rely on, and nobody's going to have their own version of a monad type class because it's a monad and there's no objection to it.
To be honest, I think one of the reasons it didn't make it as a module before now was just the constant reshuffling of Scala Z design. But the design that they eventually end up with, that was driven through a lot of community contributions and stuff, I think is probably the right way to go for that kind of a library. So
it is. There is one glaring issue with Scala Z's type class hierarchy, which is that you can have really weird ambiguities in the implicit resolution because of the inheritance. This is a problem that we sort of knew a way around it at the time that Scala Z was being designed, but we didn't know a way around it without massive boilerplate and slowing everything down and slowing implicit resolution down and things like that. It's kind of a solved problem now. We know how to do it a lot better. We could do it a lot better now, and we could make the implicits unambiguous. So I think with the benefit of that knowledge, if something did happen to make it, to make parts of it a Scala standard library module, I think it could be essentially perfected in that the final iteration.
And you said something
the only real contentious point is making set a functor, which we'd have to do.
So you touched on one part of that I think is comment worthy, which is parts of it, and I think that's the trick. Is you both sort of closed on this space of, there's definitely a lot of things that are non-controversial now in it, and parts of it. I think that's the real key, is pick out the bits that people are really using that are stabilized and accepted, and that is definitely a candidate for some kind of standard homogenization or whatever you want to call it. So
I'm going to make another call out here, is that so Scala Z is one of these areas in the Scala standard library where given the fact that it's really hard to change anything in the standard library, we've avoided putting things in it. So you have to wait for something to stabilize and freshen up and be, kind of a core before you can put it in there.
Well, you're now avoiding putting things in it. It used to be that code snippets on the mailing list landed in the standard library.
Yes. I mean, to some extent, some of that still happens if it's a pretty good code snippet, right? If it's generally something well contained and isolated, is traversable. But anyway, the thing I'm going to say this year, this is a prediction which I can't back up at all in any way, but I predict that we'll actually see some movement in the I/O space. I think that Java 7 is finally going to oust Java 6 as a thing, and so we can start relying on the Java 7 NIO library, and you can finally start to actually, Rapture I/O is coming around. I think we might see something. Scala Z Streams has I/O stuff in it. I think we'll actually see some competing potential I/O libraries that you can standardize on.
I think among those of us who are enlightened and use the bleeding edge things, that is starting to come to pass, and so I think that's a fairly safe prediction, Josh. I mean, using Rapture I/O, using Scala Z Streams, for I/O stuff, it's a change, it's a paradigm shift in a sense in how you use things, but it is so vastly superior to the tools that we have had, the tools that we've been suffering through. I mean, heck, how many people watching this do you suppose have used scala.io.source and use it just because it's there? What we have now is so good and so much better, and not without flaws, but really, really, really good. And I think movement on that is a very safe prediction as well.
Yeah.
I have another prediction, which is that I believe that community contributions will get significantly easier in 2015. And if you want to help with Scala, you will find it much easier to do so at any level you are comfortable with.
Nice.
I hope so.
So, yeah.
So I'm going to make another prediction.
Safe bet.
I'm going to make another prediction, and this one might be one that gets me in trouble. I don't know. I predict that the build tools in 2015 will start actually going in the proper direction. I don't know how many of you guys have seen Facebook Buck. Has anyone taken a look at this?
No.
So it's yet another Google Blaze clone. But there's a few things that it's done which are super necessary in a build, and it's particularly around explicit dependencies. If you know exactly what's coming in and what's going out, you can cache. And then it also does parallel by default, right? So my prediction is that the build tool space is going to start, given Buck, given Pants, given the state of build tools with SBT and Gradle and Maven as like the kind of things that are used in the Java ecosystem, I think we're ripe for somebody getting. Oh, and given cool things that are up and coming like Nix, I think we're ripe for somebody to come in with a much better designed build tool that takes over. I'm going to throw that out there.
We'll see. I think that's a prediction that people have made for a long time.
So when you look at the design, the core design of something like Nix, right? It enforces things that we wish we had enforced in SBT. If you look at something like Buck, it enforces things we wish we had enforced in SBT. Now, the surface syntax and like that sort of thing, some of those are different, but I would argue that the Blaze clones are getting to the point that one of them will become mainstream-ish. If you want a better Android development experience, Buck actually looks to be what you want at this point, given the focus they have on merging dexes, right? So if you can get a fast, efficient dex merge with a really good cache, and you can avoid doing work, they appear to be the first Java build tool that does incremental Java compilation based on whether or not an API changes, which we've had to do in Scala because of a very slow compiler. But somebody did it for Java now, right? Like I'm gonna throw out there that between Pants and Buck, I think one of them starts to get more serious adoption, or yet another Google Blaze clone will come into existence and get adoption, or Nix.
By the way, a note on the incremental compilation thing. The Eclipse Java compiler, so not JDT per se, but the Eclipse Java compiler has been doing that for years. Like the Eclipse Java compiler did that before SBT did.
For Java.
For Java. And Tomcat, for example, actually bundled the Eclipse Java compiler for precisely that reason.
Makes sense.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, these sorts of things I think are becoming bread and butter for any kind of shop. If you're making a new language, I predict you'll have to design with that in mind. Yeah. Anyway, the prediction I won't make, but I wish I could make, this is my hope. My hope is we achieve a stable compiler tree API that is cross-compatible.
I do not believe that will happen at all. Not in 2015.
I think we need it.
I
have one of those.
It's not going to happen.
I won't predict, but I hope that everybody suddenly wakes up, realizes that we're all in the Scala community, and starts treating each other nicely. That is my semi-prediction, my non-prediction for 2015. Wow, I killed the conversation.
It's good.
It's because we all started considering, oh shoot, I have to be nice to Dick. Okay, well I guess I won't say anything.
Dear. So you could do that right now and break my prediction right here, and that takes the pressure off for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
You could just say no, you suck, and we're done.
Yes,
that would be my prediction. My prediction is that all three of us will suck in the new year.
Scalawags will be resoundingly unpopular, and because we all suck.
I should be heading out because I'm over my limit here in terms of time. We thank everyone for watching. We hope you appreciated just a fun 16th day of Christmas with us. We hope that you don't watch the Ravens game. And if you
Ravens
do,
are in Baltimore.
We hope you root against both the Ravens and the Patriots during the game. I realize this is difficult, but this is the situation in which I am. we we hope that all of our hopes and dreams for 2015 come true. That everybody has a great year. Yeah, and the other thing is we hope that we can do an episode again with Seth and Heather at the same time with one of these discussions. This is kind of the.
Yay!
I feel like this is the heart of Scalawags, is getting together and having random discussions. This is what we're all about. So
That's what we
if
do.
you don't like
Yeah.
that,
This is
I'm
what all
sorry.
4 of our viewers tune in for.
Well, I predict this year we will have 5 viewers,
5.
Ooh! Excellent.
including ourselves. So-
Well, we added a Scalawag, so I think 5 is probably safe.
We should add another one, and then we can grow larger.
Oh my god.
We can get a bigger audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
That sounds good.
Thanks, everyone, and yeah, have a great New Year. We our next episode, I think, is going to be an interview on microservices, but it hasn't fully been scheduled. So look for that announcement on Twitter. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Yep.